Hi, my question is for Jeffrey Smith. What could you tell us about the Arctic apple and any health problems that you may know of what's going on with that and how close we are to having that pushed into our food system?
Okay. There's a current, the Arctic apple or the Botox apple, the non-browning apple, is before the FDA or the USDA. Nothing goes before the FDA, really. It's just a voluntary consultation process. And the apple industry is against it. But the USDA hasn't ever really turned down a single application from the biotech industry. So we don't know if we're going to have to avoid apples in order to avoid GMOs.
Why is the apple industry against it?
Because they know that a lot of exports go to countries that are sensitive to GMOs, and that if the U.S. apple industry produced GMO apples, foreign importers may refuse apples that are non-GMO, and so there'll be the blanket rejection or the extra expense for the non-GMO producers to segregate, test, verify, and then they'll pay for any contamination as well, which could cause significant problems if there is contamination by the GM. So when 25% of the corn farmers in the United States, or the corn acreage in the United States, was genetically engineered, Europe rejected 99.6% of U.S. corn, not accepting the corn from the 75% of the farmers or acreage that was non-GMO because they didn't trust it. Now, this apple is created from a double-stranded RNA technology. So they create a RNA piece that silences DNA expression. Now, the double-stranded RNA, at about 22 base pairs, it becomes a regulatory element that can influence sequences that are similar. And it's possible that by eating the apple, you might end up changing your expression of DNA because the RNA that affects the apple's browning might also affect something that we don't know about in us. There was a study done on honeybees where they exposed them to a double-stranded RNA that was supposed to be a control. And there was a double-stranded RNA exposed to honeybees, and it was supposed to be a control and not have any influence. And it changed the expression of 1,400 genes, 10% of the genome. The double-stranded RNA technology may be far more dangerous than what they're doing now with GMOs. And they want to introduce double-stranded RNA as pesticides that are sprayed. And the double-stranded RNA can affect us by absorbing it through the skin. So this is an extremely dangerous technology, and the apple is one of them, one of the crops that uses it. There's a wheat that's proposed. Wheat is not genetically engineered, but there's one that's proposed that was found, the regulatory element, the double-stranded RNA, was matched against the human genome, and they found hundreds and hundreds of spots in the human genome that might theoretically be regulated accidentally.
Now, one more question about that. I know blue corn is not genetically modified, correct? Would this apple be able to contaminate any apple, like Honeycrisp apples, Gala apples? Would there be any that are more likely to be contaminated or less likely to be contaminated?
Good question. I don't know the answer. Okay. I don't know the answer whether apples will contaminate other apples from different, unrelated or different families.
Can you said something that really surprised me, and I may be misinformed. Did you say that wheat is not genetically modified? No wheat is genetically modified?
Right. Wheat has been selectively bred, but it's not transgenic.
Okay.
In other words, they don't take genes from one species and force it into the DNA of others. Tomatoes used to be genetically engineered, and that was also, it might have been double-stranded RNA. That was taken off in 1997. Potatoes were taken off in 2001. McDonald's rejected potatoes that were genetically engineered for its French fries, and so did Pringles and Burger King, so that was the end of that. The reasons for those rejections was, again, they were concerned about market rejection. For years, Frito-Lay did not allow genetically engineered corn in its chips, and then after a while, since no one seemed to be complaining about it in the United States, they quietly allowed GMOs into their corn chips. Now we're seeing a reversal of fortunes for the biotech industry as more and more companies remove GMOs from market pressure.